Welcome to this episode of Progressive Voices. I'm Wendy Sue Johnson, and I am here with Danny Klaskis from the Eau Claire Area School District. Welcome, Danny.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us what your job is in the district?
Sure. I am the Homeless Program Coordinator for the Eau Claire Area School District.
And how long have you been in that position?
This is my 10th year.
How did your position come about?
We had federal grant funding for working with homeless students and helping them with their education since 1999, but not enough for a position until 2006. And when we did receive enough for a part-time position, that's where I came in.
Great. And so could you tell us briefly about your responsibilities?
Sure. I work with every student and hopefully a family attached to them in the Eau Claire School District that is experiencing homelessness during a school year. Work to provide all the needs that they have or connect them to any educational needs within the school district, and then work with their family to help connect them to community resources so that hopefully they can get out of homelessness as soon as possible.
Why is it important to the school district to specifically work with homeless children?
As it would be for other students in the school district that have needs that pertain to their learning, working with homeless students that have needs that are barriers to their learning, I work with them to make sure that we are eliminating those barriers. Those can be transportation issues when a family becomes homeless and they were on the south side but now they are homeless on the north side. There's a transportation issue of keeping them at their same school. We want to keep them at their same school so their learning continues almost seamlessly until they get into a new housing situation. So while they're in flux, we provide that transportation to keep them at their same school, along with supplies that will be needed for learning in their classrooms and other items that they actually need to be a part of school, and that includes, coats, jackets in this cold weather, shoes to participate in gym, and other things that allows a child to be healthy and well so that they can attend school and not have the worries of good hygiene or hunger, and be able to walk into a classroom and just learn.
So it sounds like your primary goal is to keep the children in a consistent situation so that they're prepared to learn each day.
Definitely. There is estimates that a student can lose up to 6 months of learning just switching from one school to the next. And I don't think that quite would happen within our school district, but certainly we want to minimize any possibility of that. So keeping them in their same school would bring that down to zero. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about the number of homeless children in the Eau Claire Area School District and the trends you've seen recently?
We have around 200 students that have been homeless since the start of this school year. Last year we ended with 321, so those are large numbers for the Eau Claire area. Typically we will see about 80% will leave the program, and they will not experience homelessness again. And we will not serve them again, so 80% are new students the following school year. And a family that may be homeless 2 or more years, that's a typical stint is 2 years, and then we don't see them again either. So really after 2 to 3 years, there are all new families. We don't have families continue again and again and again through our program. That is very far and few between.
So when you say there's 200 homeless children in this school year, you're talking about in the past 4 to 5 months, so it's not 200 any one particular time, that it's usually a short-term need?
Correct. Average length of homelessness is approximately 2 to 3 months. And then that family hopefully has been connected to resources in the community and received help through our program for what they need at school, that they are able to gather enough resources to get into their own place.
Could you define homelessness for us?
Homelessness will look different depending on where you are in the country. And my example is if you were down south where it's warmer, you're probably going to see more families living in their vehicles. And thankfully, up here where it's a lot colder, we don't. Our homelessness looks more like doubled up with other families. which is a bigger number of the percentage of students that are homeless from year to year. But that's a temporary situation where they're living with other families. A lot of times relationships are strained after a short time. They're living in a place that is very small and not adequate for the number of people in that house. And so even though they are doubling up with someone, it's not a comfortable situation. And that is the largest homeless population for us. And next are the shelters, the emergency and transitional shelters. I think people are aware of some of them, if not all of them: Beacon, Bolton, Western Dairylands, Homeless Havens, and even Sojourner will serve our students who are 18 and older, who are either with a parent or without. And then our motel, not usually hotel, but motel and hotel stays, where families, that is their primary residence, is a motel, and that's where they're living. We do have a few families that have slept in their car. Thankfully right now we do not, and that's great. We do have some that have been in tents during the warmer months, and that is their primary residence.
So when you're talking about families doubling up, I'm imagining kids sleeping on floors and couches, and so the lack of sleep would also be another barrier that you're attempting to address so that children are awake enough. When you're in somebody else's house, you have to abide by their rules and their norms of living. So if that person is a single person who is used to being awake till 11 or 12 at night watching TV, a family coming in is probably not going to change those habits, and so the kids are subject to what is happening in that household. And along with that, hotel and motel stays are probably the hardest for our kids because they're at motels, and there's slamming doors at all hours of the night, and they are trapped in kind of one room as their residence. It's definitely not a vacation to these kids, and as that goes longer and longer, we see that take a toll on the kids, even worse than the doubling up or the shelter stays. So what sorts of services do you provide in your role?
So how it works is I learn that a family is homeless either because they know about our program and they contact a staff member at school, or staff members are aware of it and get in contact with us, or community agencies are working with a family or aware of their homeless situation and get in contact with us. And once I learn of a family, I contact them, talk to the family about what's going on with them individually, and try to figure out from there what resources that they need. Whether they're at a point where they can get into their own housing, then I would point them in those directions. But sometimes they are just trying to get some footing of what's going on right now. There's some pretty unstable situations. A hotel stay where they don't know how to pay for the next night and they don't know where to go the next night. So they are really worried about where they're going to be able to lay their child's head to go to sleep the next night, and they're certainly not at the point where they can get housing yet. And then from the school district's ability, we receive everything we provide besides transportation is received by donation. There is very few things that we ever purchase now that would be in the way of supplies, but they are school supplies. Otherwise, all clothing, all backpacks, and pretty much most of the school supplies are donation based from our community, wonderful community members and agencies. And so we make sure the kids have what they need for that. And then transportation, which is a big piece of our program, because we want to keep them at their same schools.
So it sounds like you're identifying their needs and providing the things like a ride to school, a backpack, warm clothing to help those children come to school ready to learn.
Such basic things, that really without those things, how prepared would that child be to learn?
All right, well, thank you for being with us today, Danny, and we're going to come back again and extend our conversation, but I really appreciate your information and helping us understand homelessness in our district.
Thank you very much.